Guest tonight is a Russian and United Kingdom trained engineer majored in automobile and tractor engineering at Volgograd University in Russia in 1975 and later master's degree in automotive engineering in 1981 at Cranfield University in the UK. He joined the mechanical service department in 1980 in Zambia, and a year later he joined the University of Zambia as a lecturer. Professor Chirwa then did his PhD at the University of Liverpool. He also studied aerospace engineering in the United Kingdom. Some of the works that Professor Clive Chirwa has worked on are inverted excessive load passive management system used in technically all aircrafts and spacecraft landing gears, developed fiber reinforced composite materials used in Airbus 380 aircraft fuselage, developed the crash nose cone used in Formula One racing vehicles, developed modern systems used in crash worthiness concept used in all road vehicles today that protect occupants in crashes, developed the railway crash worthiness system used in all modern wagons and to protect passengers in detriment crashes, and he has contributed in the designs of many air, road and railroad vehicles. He's joining us on tonight's edition of Diamond Live. Prof, it's an honor to have you on our platform.
Thank you very much indeed, and I'm glad to be here, and thank you for having me.
Quite a wealthy, of experience that you have, rich CV that you have, but you're considered, as one of Zambia's treasured asset because of your academic credentials as well as your achievements. But many have wondered why you have not wanted to work, from your country and develop it. What is your reaction to people that think like this?
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to say that I did my PhD at Cranfield University and I did my postdoctorate at Liverpool University. So there are two different things. That's the correction which I wanted to make. Yeah, I've always wanted to work back home, but I've never been given an opportunity to work back home. When I completed my first degree, and of course I came back to Zambia. I used to lecture at University of Zambia. I lectured there for another 2.5 years or so. I went to do my PhD, and I came back again to Zambia to work at University of Zambia to lecture. Then I was poached by University of Liverpool to go and work on, at that particular time, was an aircraft design, which is the Typhoon, which we call the Eurofighter today. And of course, from there emanated what we call the landing gear, and which is today used in all the aircraft, yes.
What has been the challenges working from Zambia?
The challenge working from Zambia, perhaps it's many, I'm not a politician, but a lot of it is all political. And that does not give you the room to maneuver and the room to think outside the box. But as you work from overseas, they respect your knowledge, they respect your capability, the advice which you give to everybody is something which they take from first hand. And it has been far much easier to control Europeans than to control Africans.
Well, others have said that you are demanding more than what this economy could manage in terms of your salary.
Yeah, no, in fact, I was very cheap. In fact, I was really cheap. This economy, I wanted to produce something which was extraordinarily high. At that particular time, my salary at which I was demanding at Zambia Railways was a third of the one which, the same capacity of the South African Railways. So, I mean, it's something which I did because I was getting far much more where I came from.
What would you, because you're back now, do we expect that you'll be in the country for a very long time, or you'll be headed back?
Yes, yeah, no, I'm just visiting actually. I'm just visiting because I've got a project with NASA which I'm carrying out and need to finish that.
Well, how well positioned is Zambia to benefit from the manufacturing of batteries for electric vehicles for export, to other countries, considering the fact that we have largely focused on exporting raw materials and done little in value addition?
Yeah. Now, I presented the lecture 2 days ago to EIZ, and the whole emphasis of my lecture was value addition. Why I believe value addition is the key for this country to develop is because we've got all these raw materials which we can implement and generate far much more income to this nation rather than just selling raw materials. Raw materials, we've been selling raw materials for nearly 120 years, 120 years in reality. And we have been doing this for nearly 600 years. We cannot remain with the same formula up to 21st century. 21st century has changed. And why it has changed is because of the global economic concept has also changed. So we believe that if you have to be prosperous, you really need to make sure that the little you have to add value to it. If you don't add value to it, you'll be losing the whole lot. And recently, if you look at the geopolitics going on, you find that those countries which do not add value to their own resources, they will diminish. And by diminishing, I mean they will be colonized by other countries who want those raw materials to go to their places. So this is why I believe that Zambia stands a very good chance of generating a lot of income for its own resources, which it actually belongs to the country. And all of us, Zambians, those who are in the diaspora and those who live in Zambia, can contribute to this success. And that success.
What would you attribute to as potentially the major reason why we've failed to create industries that could add value to some of these raw materials that we have beneath us?
I think the main reason is that we have been moving up and down. If you remember, during the President Kenneth Kaunda's days, we had a lot of industries. And from there, we were sidetracked by IMF and other countries which came to actually tell us that we need to privatize many of these, and of course we lost momentum from there. So this, I don't believe in IMF. I can say that straight away, because I believe that we generate our own funding rather than rushing to IMF to look for excuses and making what you call, so they can donate to us. What we need to do is we need to generate our own funding, and value addition is the key.
What is your assessment, Professor Chirwa, of how much strides we've made in the area of technology to be able to compete favorably with the international community? Are you happy with what Zambia has been able to put on the table so far, especially with now the establishment of particularly the Ministry of Science and Technology?
Yes, you see, everywhere I've been, everybody's calling it science and technology, but in reality they are calling it technology and science. Me, I wanted to go back to science and technology, because you cannot have technology without the science. You have to do the science first, then get the technology later. And I'm glad you're calling it science and technology. So perhaps everybody is listening there, that we must go back to the science and technology as the ministry. Of course, the thing which we need to take into consideration here is that the Ministry of Science and Technology must be a hub and a key to our development. It must be a think tank where we are going to get much of the information, the research, the output of that research, in order to input it into our industries of the future. I see this as an opportunity, and a great opportunity, and this particular administration has put this forward for us in order to develop some of the technology which we can have in terms of whatever, batteries, which you talked about earlier on, and in terms of also the value addition to the different aspects. We've got the market trading. If you look at Africa today, you'll find that nearly 94.5% of wire and copper comes from outside Africa. What we do, we sell copper to outside of Africa, then from there it comes back into copper and wire and sold within Africa. But what we can do, we can cultivate that market for ourselves as Zambians to actually bring the industry here in Zambia and able to deliver to all these countries around Africa.
Talking about cultivating the market, I think there's a lot of young people that are presenting valuable business models with the either with CEC. A lot of young people are presenting projects with ZICTA. Name different organizations. Do you think that it's issues that have to do with funding, or we need to again increase more capacity for our young people to be able to bring some of these ideas, these business models to life? A lot of young people that are here today they've got the ideas, but they don't get the much needed support to get these ideas to reality. Is it the ideas that we don't have, or is it just the capacity, or is it the funding? What exactly do you think needs to be done in the area of realizing these business models and getting them to reality?
Yeah, I think what we like is perhaps the hub, as I talked about what we call the infrastructure in terms of giving us these opportunities to young people. Currently, what we have is we've got different departments within the different ministries, and those ministries are not tying up together, and therefore they are not talking to each other, and hence we are not giving those opportunities to young people. Many of the young people have got these ideas, but we need a think tank which is going to galvanize these ideas together and then put it into a context where it's going to realize those goods. But if we do not have that think tank, then...
But does Zambia have the capacity in terms of funding to realize some of these ideas? Do you think that we've got the capacity to realize these ideas?
Yes. Many of these ideas do not require money. It's not about money. It's about you thinking of exactly what you're going to do, and with that, you run with it, and once you produce, somebody will come along and they will actually fund that.
Let me take you back, Prof, to my earlier question regarding the MOU that Zambia signed with the DRC Congo to produce manufacturing batteries, electric batteries. If the Republic of Zambia called you to head this particular project, would you accept?
That's a very good question. Yeah, remember that in the past I accepted and my fingers were bent. But this time what I want to do is I want to make sure that if somebody invites me, those people must be very serious of what they want to achieve. I will not come to be invited into another circus which had happened in the past. Because me, I'm a person who delivers goods. And I'll come because this is my country. I was born here. My parents are buried here. And everybody is here. My brothers, my sisters are here. And I'll come and help. And I'm ready for that. But I want to make sure that they're serious in actually engaging me to come and deliver that. And that's what I want to say.
When you say circus, what exactly do you mean? For some viewers that might be lost, what exactly you mean when you say circus?
Yeah. What happened in 2013 all the way to 2015, when I was brought to come and do the railways, I thought perhaps I was supposed to deliver that. I went away, spent a lot of hours designing the whole rail system, designing the whole wagons and all this. By the way, I can actually tell you here that all this has been implemented in Senegal. You go to Senegal, you see the same rail vehicle I designed for Zambia. It's there, it's running. And it's not in Zambia, but it's in Senegal. So these are the things which I'm talking about. I want serious people who are serious in delivering.
We'll ask you later on if you think this administration is serious enough to engage such a serious man like you. But we have Kalumba calling us. Thank you so much, Kalumba, for joining the conversation.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening to Professor Chirwa.
Good evening, yeah. Good evening, Kalumba.
Thank you. It's an honor seeing you visiting your country and following the great work that you've done. I followed when you were appointed as to lead Zambia Railways, and the ideas that you had, they were brilliant. So my prayer was, if the professor can be given just to achieve half of what he's thinking about, I was seeing Zambia rising to a higher or a greater height. So it was just unfortunate that things did not work out the way it did. That was a loss to the country, but because what I was seeing you achieving was very big. And coming on to the project that you had, that you are about to embark on, which is the car assembling in the country, I believe I saw a lot of employment creation. Now I'm seeing it dragging. I don't know where the problem is. I was just watching a clip of when you were live on Movie TV where you were showing us the car that you have invented, the features that it has. I believe if this plant can be actualized, we can put up the plant in, I believe it's Kapiri where you have been given land. I think that will benefit the country very much, because what Zambia lacks are industries. I'm a passionate a follower or supporter of value addition. It makes me sad seeing the way we export stones, rocks outside the country, and then at the end of the day, we end up importing very expensive stuff, which are coming out of, or which are a product of the things that we sell out of the country at a cheap price. So I don't know who we can push so that we can have more industries which are going to add value. Zambia is rich. If only we can add that component of value addition to our resources, I think we are going to...
Mr. Kalumba, thank you so much for having the time to speak with us tonight. Mr. Kalumba, speaks of the fact that there's car assembling that you are bringing to Zambia.
Yes.
May you confirm that, Prof?
Yeah, that's very true. And in fact, the bus is outside. I came in it. You can have a look at it yourself. When I was approached to bring out to alleviate some of the problems which we have in Zambia in terms of transportation system, actually went away and designed this particular bus from paper all the way to manufacturing. And it's there, the product is there. And that's the way I do things. When I was given that opportunity, I thought of Zambia pretty well and say, people are traveling like animals in minibuses, cramped like hell, no safety belts, nothing at all which will give them dignity when they are traveling. So that's how I developed this particular minibus. Then from there, we have arranged already in Kapirimposhi where we're going to be. The future is actually at Kapirimposhi where we're going to put the plant, and we need...
When do we expect this to be actualized?
This will be actualized when we have orders. At the moment, we don't have orders at all from anybody. So what we need to do, we need to make sure that we start selling. You cannot bring an investment if you do not have a market. What you do, first of all, you create the market, then that market creates the optimum conditions. Then after that, you can actually bring the industry to realize that.
So is this a complete project, or you're still looking at, putting features on this project that you are still working on?
No, the project has already been completed. The project was completed in 2019. That's when we completed the project itself. This is now actualization of that particular, that's implementation of the project.
I was asking about how a lot of young people have ideas, but they don't seem to get help. I know of a young man called Joseph Lungu that has invented a motor vehicle security system that can be installed on a motor vehicle, but he seemingly is struggling to get funding or to get this idea realized. I mean, how do you look at young people that have ideas but seemingly are not getting support? I mean, if you have a project that is looking at assembling a vehicle, why not also engage young people from your country to see how best you could leverage more opportunities for the betterment of the country? Yeah,
in fact, that's exactly what I'm here for. I look for young talent all the time. In my life, I've educated many talents. I'm sorry to say that, but many of these have been from developed world. But I would like to bring the same impetus to my country, which is Zambia. Let me tell you one thing which perhaps might bring up some of your answers to the question which you've asked. And really, I was expecting IDC, what you call IDC, to realize some of these issues. Because IDC at the moment is not acting as a catalyst between industry and the individuals like this particular young man who has got ideas but nobody to implement it. In any developed world, if you've got an institution like IDC, it's there as a think tank to create industries. And if a young man has got a solution of that nature, IDC would have created room to actually give it that opportunity to develop in that.
We have Andrew on the line. Thank you so much, Andrew, for joining the conversation.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, fellow namesake, Andrew.
Sure.
Yeah. Evening, Doc.
Good evening. How are you, Andrew?
Yes. Glad to see you there.
Oh, thank you very much indeed.
And yes. I'm following, and I've been following actually some of your works. But my worry is, I don't know how patriotic you are as an individual. I know you're back in your country, but when it comes to issues of costing for all those works you are, expounding there, That's where my worry is, because some of the issues I want to relate to, it's I'm told you are too expensive, you are too exorbitant, I mean, in terms of where you live, what you use. Do you consider your works relating to how poor your country is, perhaps how rich but poor your country is, I should say, and you know, in relation to the poor people in your country? Because I feel you should part away with something which the country can afford to pay you, you know, in comparison to the poor people on the ground, so that when this country develops, eventually the poorest, or the gap will be bridged between the rich and the poor.
Thank you so much.
Otherwise, you are welcome.
How patriotic are you?
Yeah, I'm very patriotic. Let me answer Andrew's question, because everybody has got this myth that I'm very expensive. No, I'm not. It's this myth which was created by the media, perhaps.
To demand a lot of money from government.
Exactly.
To live in lavish houses.
Lavish houses and all that. No, that's not true. When I arrived in this country, when they invited me, they took me from the airport and dropped me in Fosway. It's not me who chose the hotel. Not me. So when they took me there, they left me there and they arranged everything for me there. I didn't even know where I was going to when I arrived in this country.
Would you have suggested something cheaper?
No, I didn't know. How can I know? I thought this is executive a room which I was given by the government. It's the government themselves. Minister of Finance took me there. So how can I say that, oh, this is cheaper, this is expensive? Because I didn't even know how much they were paying. I didn't know.
You said you have a business model that you want to propose to government,
yes,
aimed at creating 1 million jobs in the country from the mining sector. Have you already briefed government, or perhaps President Hakainde Hichilema, on this particular project model that you have to create 1 million, jobs?
No, I haven't. But I've had a lot of discussions since 2011 with the current president, Hakainde Hichilema. We had a lot of meetings in 2011, 2008, 2009, 2011 with him, how we can actually develop this country. And of course, perhaps he might remember some of the conversations which we had.
You've not met him from the time you came?
No, I haven't met him because he's been very busy. So I haven't met him from the time I came. And I hope I will meet him before I leave.
But how's your relationship with President Hakainde Hichilema?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I met him in London when he came. He came to visit London. And it was very cordial. So I can't say that we've got any animosity among us. I know that he will deliver the goods for this country, and I would like to work with him. Yes.
What new opportunities would you suggest for this administration to begin to look at to enhance economic growth?
A lot of it. I've got. You see, I've been advising many countries in the world. I've taught in 120 countries. I've advised many governments: United States, United Kingdom, European Union, Japan, China, Australia, New Zealand, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, Vietnam. I've advised many countries, and these are the big ones. And recently, I advised Ghana and Kenya in order for them to get from raw materials into industrialization. So I've got a lot of experience of different countries. I see the thing Lacanigo, which perhaps a Zambian cannot see. And I've got a lot to deliver, but it's up to everybody to actually take my ideas and move.
We are not getting as much as we should as a country from a Zambian-born child like you, Professor?
Yes, you're not. In fact, you're not even getting a third of me. It's as simple as that. And I would like to deliver more, but like anything else, you can't deliver where there's an empty space. You have to deliver where you have to go through a certain particular path.
Well, I know for a fact that perhaps you're waiting for the president to call you. But just like Andrew said, how patriotic are you to perhaps call the president and say, I'm in the country and I would love to see you?
I've done that already. I've done that already.
Would you like to brief us what The response has been?
No, but I mean, that's a private conversation. It has got nothing to do with the public. But yeah, I've already done that, yes.
But commitment is there.
Yeah.
Probably what prepositions, apart from the business model that you're talking about, well, then if you don't manage to meet the president, where does the buck stop? How do you envision moving forward with the creation of this job? Yes, you say that you can't operate alone. You obviously can't operate in a vacuum. But what is the position? How do you move forward at this stage?
Yeah, at this stage, what we need to do is to develop that particular string of ideas which we have to develop this automotive assembly plant. Once we get that running, then we can think of other things around it. But the electric vehicle, which has actually been announced between the two countries, like Congo and Zambia, that gives us what you call the catalyst to start moving forward. And this catalyst can only come when all of us are speaking the same language. We need somebody at the top who understands these technologies. And these technologies, at the moment as I'm talking to you, I've got a battery pack of my vehicles which is being tested to actually meet the European standard so that we can actually input it on the OV vehicle. So all those experiences are there. And Zambia itself must start from value addition of components. Copper wire, copper bus, copper this, copper that, and we'll be able to do it.
We have someone on call. Thank you so much, Cleophas, for joining the conversation.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I just want to appreciate Dr. Smith, Professor Chirwa. I'm happy that we have such, brilliant brains from Zambia, who has done so much for other countries. My question to the professor is, have you had a look at our curriculum that we're offering at Zambia?
Come again?
What?
The curriculum, educational curriculum we are providing as a country.
Thank you so much, Cleophas, for joining the conversation.
Do I answer?
Yes, please.
Yes. Yes, I've looked at the curriculum, and I've written already a letter which details of exactly how I want the education system to move from its current state into the future. And what I've written is that the education system which we have today is a colonial one. It's the education system which we're given in order for us to reach a certain particular stage, and from there work as an apparatchik or a bureaucrat within an institution, not thinking beyond what we have. So I've suggested, and this is my suggestion, and for the first time perhaps I'll speak in public of this suggestion. And the suggestion is that I want to have year 1 to year 12 as the primary education in this country. Forget about grade 7 passes. Forget about grade, grade
7, 9, and 12.
Yeah, grade 9 passes. Because every developed country in the world today does not what you call eradicate or does not drop its children from education until they reach grade 12. We have been doing it for years. Why? Because the colonial system wanted us to have only the best to work in those institutions. But time has changed. We're in the 21st century. I would like grade 1, and the next time you're going to drop from school is grade 12. And that's the way it is in developed world. You have different examinations as you go along, and those examinations are there to judge exactly which route you're going to go through, but not for deletion of academic excellence, not for deletion.
And the content of what we teach these children, what should be the content? What should the content look like?
No, the content is based of exactly how we moved in these years. how we have the capability to deliver for this country. Because we teach, many of the stuff we teach are general stuff which are no longer in use in many of the countries of today. We must start from grade 1 teaching IT and all that. We must start from grade 1 to teach, oh, we've got copper, so how can we add value to that copper, and so on and so forth. We must start from grade 1 and say, oh, you're a medical doctor, you must actually start from biology and so on and move on. At the moment, what we have is we got just general knowledge, formulas which are not required, which can be actually given an impetus to actually give new students that part of practical information which you need in their lives.
Once an order is given to you by this country, do you have the capacity and the infrastructure to deliver where the land has been given to you to start the assemblance of these vehicles?
Yes.
Everything is there.
Yeah, everything is there. It's just a matter of, I've got people who want to invest in this particular area. Getting European funding, money, is not a problem. What I need is, I need space. I need people to buy the vehicles.
And obviously these vehicles won't be as expensive as we buy them from other countries.
Oh, no. They're far much cheaper than that. I mean, my vehicles at this moment in time, what I'm talking about, are half price of the other vehicles which are coming from outside.
Half price?
Yes.
How much exactly? Would you?
Do you want me to give you a figure?
Well, I just want. I just want.
I've got competitors outside there. So
I just want for the ordinary Zambian to understand what value.
I've already said half price.
You'll be coming into the country.
But smart cities, being developed in Africa at the moment include, the new city in Johannesburg, South Africa, Kigali, Innovation City, Rwanda, and Konza City.
Yes.
What should we, what should be done, if our country needs to move, this path where we also develop, smart cities?
Yeah, so smart cities are pretty good. And they can be developed in Zambia too. But what we need to do, first of all, is we need to create capacity. You cannot have smart cities without understanding exactly how you're going to implement them and how you're going to utilize all those smart cities. Many countries where they've developed these smart cities, they failed. And I will give you many examples of those, but mentioning names, I don't want the diplomats to come back on me and say, you've mentioned my country and so on. But many of these countries have failed. And this is why Zambia at the moment hasn't got that capacity. So we need to develop that first before we can actually come to it.
Many of people know for the fact that you have currently designed the bus that, that already has come to life, and you've actually come with it at Diamond TV.
Yes.
But besides the bus that you've designed and manufactured, what are some of the latest projects that you are currently working on?
Yeah, I'm working on 4 projects at the moment. The bus is a complete project. This is finished now. I'm working on another plane, which we are looking at the new materials and the wing and the fuselage system itself. I'm also working on a landing gear, which is going all the way into outer space, and where it's still a secret by NASA, so I can't actually mention it. I'm working on that. I'm also working on a rail vehicle, which I need to do, which I started for Vietnam, which is going from Hanoi to Ho Chi Minh. I'm also working, my last project is actually working on the battery pack, which I told you about. And that's what we're working on at this particular moment in time.
Talking about projects, I just want to take you a little back with the project that you mentioned is it Senegal that you mentioned?
Yeah.
How exactly is this project running?
The railway.
No, it's a railway, yeah. That has already been done. It's working, and you can Google it. It's not me who did it. They actually use the design which I created, which was bought by the Turkish company, and the Turkish company built the railways in Senegal.
So at the moment, Zambia now has a new Ministry of Science and Technology. We spoke about it.
Yes.
I mean, what proactive policy direction should the new Dawn administration be taking particularly in this ministry, to be able to create a conducive environment for yourself and also for other young innovators that would love to follow your path to contribute to this country?
Yes, and I mean, that's a great question. And this is what I was talking about. I was saying that the Ministry of Science and Technology should be really a think tank for all of us as a government. What I would have liked to see, and I'll tell you this again, what I would have liked to see is to see that the IDC, in its current form, be abolished. And the IDC must go back to the Ministry of Finance as a department as it used to be. And that IDC, the remit must change and come under the Ministry of Science and Technology as a think tank. Because at this particular moment in time, IDC is doing nothing. There are so many layers of boards, of directors, and all these need money. All this is a waste of resources. They must be eliminated and taken back to the Ministry of Finance. And then create another IDC, which will be run by engineers, by technical people who are going to run that as a think tank. And when you run that, because engineers make all the resources for this country. Nobody else makes money apart from engineers. It's from engineering. That's when the money is distributed to all these other parts of the world. And we must understand that we need to start thinking big.
But wouldn't that be a prototype? Wouldn't that collapse systems that are already working? I mean, the IDC you say is not working. Wouldn't that collapse other systems?
No, they'll go back to Ministry of Finance. It's just a matter of shifting to Ministry of Finance, because IDC at the moment is occupied by economists. But economists don't make money. The people who make money are engineers. Anywhere around the world. You go around the world and you see that people who make money are engineers. Even when you go on in futures or you go to Lusaka exchange and all that, without the engineering input, there will be no Lusaka exchange. So you have to understand that the big money, the big revenue in a country is generated by engineers. And that's what we must do. And IDC will become a think tank. And to become a think tank to think, what industry can we put here? What industry can we put there in order to employ all these other people and so on? And the solutions for IDC has to be in the implementation of the research and developments which have been carried out by these different institutions within the Ministry of Science and Technology.
If you met the president and he approved of this project, how long do you think it would take for the ordinary Zambian to begin to see fruits from this motor vehicle assembling project?
According to the plans which we've made, now it's just a matter of bringing the equipment and start assembling. Assembling is not a big issue, because in modern engineering and production of any machines, in the olden days, let me start from the olden days. In the olden days, what we used to do, every company used to manufacture everything within its environment. I've got, let's say, I'll pick a company, Mercedes-Benz. You will make every single part within Mercedes-Benz. It's no longer the same. All of us, all the manufacturing companies you see in the world today are all designers. Then we assign different companies to supply parts to us in order to take them to another company to assemble for us. So there's no way that we cannot do it. You look at every company which manufactures all the vehicles which are here in Zambia. All these people have gone through the same route. You design, you go through the supply chain, you choose the different components which you want to put in your vehicle, then you take to another company, you buy the body, like the vehicle outside with me. You buy the body, here you buy the engine, there you buy the suspension system, here you buy this, and you take them to the company which is going to assemble for you. And these are specialist companies which assemble these vehicles.
What makes the bus that you've designed special than most buses that are on the Zambian market?
Two things.
That are used for transportation.
Two things. One, all my vehicles have been tested to road conditions in this country. In 2016, 2017, I came to this country to collect data on the dynamics of the different road terrains. And then from there went away and redesigned the suspension system. All these vehicles in Zambia, which are driven in Zambia, do not have the same suspension system like I've got on my vehicles, because they've never tested their vehicles to the capability of taking these loads and the dynamics of the different vehicles, the different terrain. So this is why I always say that the vehicles are designed for Zambia. They're designed for Africa, where the roughness is totally different to the reference which you get in Europe and Japan and everywhere else.
The second reason? You said two reasons.
Yes. And the second reason is more to telematics. The vehicle is intelligent. You can sit here in delivering your news, and it will be transferred through internet system, and people will be watching as they ride the vehicle. Because within the vehicle itself, there's a big screen. So everybody who's sitting there can be watching whatever is going on anywhere. Your director can be talking, and they can talk to you through the system, and you'll be actually communicating with your director in the vehicle itself. So you go and see it, you see the screens.
I'll have to talk to Silvio Costa once to purchase one of those vehicles.
Yeah, please let him quickly.
but also, allow me to ask this question as we close. And this is a question that the Silvio gets to ask on Sundays on one of his programs. If you died today, Professor Clive Chirwa, what would you like Zambians to remember you for?
I would like Zambians to remember, say, I've been for 45 years. Let me tell you this story. A lot of people think that, oh no, this guy is too lavish. And no, I'm not. I want Zambians to remember that I've been fighting for the development of this country for over 45 years. And I'll tell you where I started from. I started from David Kaunda. And I will put this in sequence. I walked into State House at David Kaunda in 1987 first, and in 1990, and presented a project to him. And the project which I presented to him was for me to build a canal which will connect Fiera to the sea. He said, no, you cannot do that, because we had at that particular moment in time, Zimbabwe was just getting into nitty-gritty, and we had Mozambique, and there was nobody to talk to. So we could not do that. Then I came again. I said, we need to add value to the things which we have in terms of making sure this country ticks. Again, he agreed, and we went on. We started doing everything else, and within about 2 years, there was no administration. Somebody else came along. In 2007, I approached Mwanawasa when I saw that the country was going down and there was no revenue coming through. I told him, I said, listen to me. Let me tell you that we need to provide a windfall tax in order to make sure that we collect money. Everybody was saying, oh, GDP is growing at 6%. I said, okay, GDP may grow at 6%, but we don't see that it's growing at 6%. Because look around you. Can you say that GDP is growing? No. He listened to me, and he put on a windfall tax. And in 2008, he invited me. I came to the State House to come and congratulate me for that idea. I was called again in 2011 to come and say, come and help us to build the railways. I dropped my family. I dropped everybody. I was actually working at the top of my head and said, okay, let me go and help. I had only 3 years. That was my plan, to come here, deliver the railways, teach the young people so they can now move on and run the railways. But I was cut off within 3 months. I said, okay, then I came again. And I wrote a letter to the previous administration, and I wrote a letter to this current administration, because, I mean, I can't make privy of what I wrote in that letter, but it was all about how we're going to move forward. So I've contributed a lot to this country in terms people don't see because they can't see the reality. In fact, in 2017, I redesigned the whole, there was congestion. Everybody was saying, oh, we need to remove this congestion. I designed the tram system in Lusaka and Kitwe in order to alleviate that congestion. Nothing has been implemented up to today. So I've always tried to do something for this country. But there's always that drawback which comes on because we are not implementers. We must change our culture. Our culture must be changed to start implementing things. We've got too many feasibility studies which are stuck on walls, on shelves, everywhere. Everywhere. But we're not implementing. We have wasted so much resources. It's unbelievable. And I want to cut that off and start delivering the goods for the next.